What you think about yourself when no one is listening matters more than anything else in your life. Every dream you chase, every action you take, and every limit you accept begins in your mind. Long before success shows up in reality, it is created in thought. Long before failure appears, it is rehearsed mentally. Most people try to change their lives by changing their circumstances, but the truth is this: nothing changes permanently until your mindset changes. Your thoughts shape your beliefs shape your decisions, and your decisions shape your destiny. If you wake up every day thinking you are behind, unlucky, or not good enough, your actions will reflect hesitation and fear. But when you train your mind to think with purpose, confidence, and discipline, your behavior begins to align with growth and success. Your mind is always listening. Every word you say to yourself is an instruction. When you repeat fear, your mind builds limits. When you repeat belief, your mind builds courage. You cannot think small and live large at the same time. The world will test you. There will be setbacks, failures, and moments of doubt. But what determines your future is not what happens to you. It is what you choose to think during those moments. A strong mindset does not eliminate problems. It gives you the strength to rise above them. If you want a better life, start with better thoughts. Guard your mind, feed it discipline, vision, and belief, because in the end, you will not become what you want. You will become exactly what you think about. Every reality begins as a thought long before it becomes visible in the physical world. Nothing in your life appears suddenly or by accident. The results you see today, your confidence level, your habits, your relationships, and even your limitations, are the outcome of thoughts you have repeated over time. Your mind first imagines, then believes, and finally directs your actions to make those thoughts real. When a thought is repeated often enough, it stops feeling like an idea and starts feeling like the truth. If you repeatedly think that you are incapable, unlucky, or behind in life, your mind accepts that message as a fact. Once that belief is formed, your behavior automatically aligns with it. You hesitate, you avoid risks, you settle for less, not because you lack ability, but because your thoughts have quietly shaped your expectations. On the other hand, when you consistently think in terms of growth, improvement, and possibility, your brain begins to look for ways to support those thoughts. You notice opportunities instead of obstacles. You respond with effort instead of excuses. The mind does not know the difference between real and repeatedly imagined experiences. It simply works to make what you think feel true. Thoughts influence emotions, emotions influence decisions, and decisions influence outcomes. This chain reaction happens every single day, whether you are aware of it or not. That is why two people in the same situation can end up with completely different lives. One feeds thoughts of limitation, the other feeds thoughts of learning and progress. Reality is not shaped by one big decision, but by thousands of small thoughts repeated daily. The moment you become aware of your thinking patterns, you gain the power to interrupt negative cycles and replace them with constructive ones. When you change the way you think, your actions shift naturally, and over time, your reality follows the way you speak to yourself every day, quietly builds your sense of self-worth. Long before anyone else labels you as confident or insecure, successful or unsuccessful, you have already defined yourself through internal dialogue. This self-talk runs constantly in the background, influencing how you feel, how you act, and what you believe you deserve. When your inner voice is critical, harsh, or discouraging, it slowly weakens your confidence. Saying things like, "I'm not good enough," "I always fail," or "I can't do this," may seem harmless in the moment, but repeated often enough, these words become identity statements. Your mind begins to accept them as facts, and your self-worth shrinks to match them. You start avoiding challenges, fearing judgment, and doubting your abilities, not because you lack potential, but because your self-talk has trained you to expect failure. Positive self-talk is not about lying to yourself or ignoring reality. It is about speaking with honesty, strength, and intention, replacing destructive thoughts with empowering ones such as "I am learning," "I can improve," or "I am capable of growth," changes how you see yourself. When your inner voice becomes supportive instead of hostile, your confidence begins to rebuild from the inside out. Your mind listens closely to repetition. The words you say to yourself daily create emotional patterns that define how you respond to pressure, failure, and success. Encouraging self-talk builds resilience, while negative self-talk magnifies fear and self-doubt. Over time, this internal dialogue determines whether you stand tall in difficult moments or shrink under them. Self-worth is not given by others. It is reinforced by how you treat yourself mentally. When you consciously choose kinder, stronger, and more disciplined self-talk, you gradually reprogram your sense of value and capability. Circumstances may shape the situation you are in, but they do not define who you become. Many people believe their future is controlled by their environment, their past, or the opportunities they were given. Yet history repeatedly proves that mindset carries more power than any external condition. Two people can face the same hardship, experience the same loss, or start from the same disadvantage, and still end up with completely different outcomes because they think differently. When someone believes their circumstances are permanent, they stop trying. They see obstacles as walls rather than challenges. This type of thinking leads to helplessness, excuses, and stagnation. The problem is not the situation itself, but the mental conclusion drawn from it. Once the mind decides this is how it will always be, growth slows and effort disappears. A strong mindset views circumstances as temporary and changeable. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" it asks, "What can I learn from this? And how can I move forward from here?" This shift in thinking changes emotional responses. Stress turns into focus, failure turns into feedback, difficulty turns into discipline. Circumstances can limit comfort, resources, or timing, but they cannot limit determination, creativity, or effort unless the mind allows them to. A person with a powerful mindset takes responsibility for their response, even when the situation is unfair. They understand that while they cannot always control what happens, they can always control how they think about it. This mental strength creates resilience. Instead of breaking under pressure, the individual adapts, grows, and continues moving forward. Over time, this mindset-driven persistence reshapes circumstances themselves, proving that external conditions bend when internal belief refuses to surrender. What you consistently focus on shapes how you experience life and how quickly you grow. The mind has limited attention, and whatever you give that attention to becomes more powerful in your perception. When your focus is scattered or locked onto problems, fears, and past mistakes, your energy is drained and progress slows. Growth requires intentional focus, not random attention. Many people remain stuck not because they lack ability, but because their focus is fixed on what is going wrong instead of what can be improved. When the mind repeatedly highlights obstacles, it begins to believe that progress is impossible. This creates mental fatigue and emotional frustration, making even small tasks feel overwhelming. Focus on problems magnifies them, making them appear larger than they truly are. When focus is directed towards solutions, learning, and effort, the brain begins to adapt. You start noticing opportunities that were previously invisible. Mistakes become information instead of evidence of failure. This shift in focus changes how you respond to challenges. Instead of reacting emotionally, you respond strategically. Focus also determines momentum. Consistent attention on goals, habits, and daily progress builds forward movement over time. Even small improvements compound when focus remains steady. Distractions, comparisons, and overthinking break this momentum by pulling attention away from purposeful action. Growth demands the discipline to decide what deserves your attention and what does not. When you train your focus toward what strengthens you, skills, solutions, and self-improvement, stagnation loses its grip and progress becomes a natural result. Action does not begin with motivation or opportunity. It begins with belief. What you truly believe about yourself determines how boldly you act, how long you persist, and how much effort you are willing to invest. If your belief is weak, your actions will be hesitant and inconsistent. If your belief is strong, your actions become confident, focused, and resilient. Many people wait to feel ready before they act, not realizing that readiness is a product of belief. When you believe you are capable, you take action even when conditions are uncertain. You attempt, experiment, and adjust. When belief is absent, the mind searches for reasons to delay, fear of failure, fear of judgment, or fear of wasting time. These fears are not signs of danger, they are signals of weak belief. Belief influences how you interpret challenges. A person who believes in their ability sees difficulty as part of the process. They expect resistance and are not discouraged by it. Someone who doubts themselves interprets the same difficulty as proof that they should quit. The difference is not talent or luck, but the belief that effort will eventually lead to progress. Strong belief also fuels consistency. You show up daily when you trust that your actions matter, even if results are not immediate. Without belief, effort feels pointless, and inconsistency becomes normal. Over time, belief-driven action compounds into skill, confidence, and measurable growth. Belief is not built by waiting for success. It is built by choosing to act despite uncertainty. Each small action reinforces belief, creating a cycle where belief strengthens action and action strengthens belief. A strong mind. It is not something you switch on once and keep forever. It is something you train every single day. Mental discipline is built the same way physical strength is built through consistent, intentional practice. Without daily effort, the mind naturally drifts toward comfort, distraction, and negative thinking patterns. Every day, your mind is exposed to stress, opinions, social pressure, and unexpected challenges. If you do not actively manage your thoughts, these influences begin to control them for you. Mental discipline means becoming aware of what you allow into your mind and how you respond to it. It is the ability to pause, reflect, and choose a productive thought instead of reacting emotionally. Daily habits such as reflection, goal setting, positive self-talk, and focused work strengthen mental control. These practices may seem small, but over time they reshape how the mind handles pressure and uncertainty. A disciplined mind does not panic easily, does not quit quickly, and does not rely on motivation to function. It operates on commitment. Mental discipline also involves consistency during difficult days. Anyone can think positively when life is easy, but discipline is proven when things are uncomfortable. Choosing effort over excuses, focus over distraction, and growth over comfort builds inner strength that compounds over time. Through daily practice, mental discipline becomes automatic. Challenges are met with calm, setbacks are processed with clarity, and progress continues regardless of mood or external conditions. Your dominant thoughts quietly shape the person you are becoming. Not the thoughts you have once in a while, but the ones you return to every day, during silence, pressure, and routine moments. These repeated thoughts form mental patterns, and those patterns slowly turn into habits, behaviors, and identity. When your mind constantly revisits fear, doubt, or comparison, it trains itself to expect limitation. Over time, these thoughts influence decisions without conscious awareness. You begin to choose what feels safe over what could help you grow. The future becomes restricted not by lack of opportunity, but by the direction of your thinking. When your dominant thoughts revolve around improvement, discipline, and possibility, your mind begins to align with progress. You naturally seek environments, habits, and actions that support growth. Confidence grows not from external validation, but from the consistency between thought and action. The mind adapts to whatever it is repeatedly exposed to. Your brain strengthens what it uses most. Thinking patterns that are reinforced daily become automatic responses. This is why mindset change requires awareness and repetition. You must notice what occupies your mental space and intentionally redirect it toward thoughts that serve your future rather than your fears. Over time, these dominant thoughts shape how you respond to life, how you see yourself, and what you believe is possible. The person you become is not decided in one moment, but formed gradually by what you allow your mind to dwell on the most. Now understand this clearly. Your life is moving in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. Not tomorrow, not someday, right now. Every thought you repeat is a vote for the person you are becoming. If you want strength, think strength. If you want growth, think growth. If you want success, think with discipline and purpose. Guard your mind as carefully as you guard your goals. Feed it belief, focus, and consistency. Because when your thoughts change, your actions change. And when your actions change, your life follows. The future you want is not waiting somewhere outside of you. It is being built inside your mind every single day.